today is Ivan Fairhall, the MD of Pivotal Metals, listed on the Australian exchange with the ticker PVT. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Ivan. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on. It's nice to be on.
Good to be speaking. Of course, it is the first time that we're talking. I wonder if you can perhaps just start us off by giving a bit of the high-level overview or the elevator pitch of the company, if you like.
Absolutely. Look, Pivotal Metals is an ASX-listed explorer and developer. We're focused in the top global jurisdiction of Quebec in Canada. We've got copper and precious metal projects. We're actively exploring to find new resources, new projects, and we're also in parallel de-risking the substantial resources that have already been proved up in our main Horden Lake Project.
Okay, and that's the Horden Lake Project, isn't it? The project I think you were pretty chuffed about acquiring. I think I saw an interview, maybe it was a little while ago now, but you were quite chuffed about acquiring this project. It's got quite a significant resource on it already, hasn't it? So what was your game plan here?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, Pivotal acquired that project about 2 or 3 years ago, and we've been very busy, very active on the project. In fact, we've done drilling, we've done 2 drill programs, we've expanded the resource, we've done metallurgical test work, we've updated. That's been a really important de-risking step. And what we have now is a large copper endowment resource. We've got over 400,000 tonnes of copper equivalent in JORC-compliant resources. We've got a major in-pit resource, and there's a lot of exploration upside. And so there's a lot there in that project. And we're really excited about what that looks like.
Okay, and what would be the main objective with that project then? I think I noted in the chairman's statement that he highlighted that you've had a 70% increase in the in-pit copper inventory, and also you've done the metallurgical testing as well. So would the idea be to sort of just build this out slowly, and with the idea to perhaps wave a flag and attract interest, or would you look to kind of develop it a bit more quicker yourself?
Look, I think you've got to focus on the asset, and that's multifaceted. You know, to have a successful company and project, you need to always have an eye on exploration, growing the opportunity. So we've got exploration upside on the Horden Lake project that's been very well proven up with a lot of electromagnetic surveys, and that's shown substantial resource growth potential. So we've got upside in sense of the resource, but also focusing on the value of what we've found. So we have a large resource. We have the majority of that sits in an open pit, and that's really important from a development perspective. And so these things are valuable because they can be mined, and that's where things like the metallurgical test work come into play. Because ultimately, what is the revenue generating potential of this project? It's tied up with the metallurgical test work, and those are segues to economic outcomes and moving this forward as a mining project in parallel to continuing to grow the size of the opportunity.
And that MET testing then, is that showing you any early signs? You've got to do some more work, or how are things looking on the MET side?
Well, MET's something that you never really stop doing right through operations, in fact. But certainly from our perspective, when we acquired this project, one of the big criticisms that you could have leveled at it was that it really had no metallurgical test work, which was crazy for a project that had so much work done on it and was already quite substantial at the time. So that was one of our key objectives, was to do metallurgical test work on the project. We collected a large sample, and we did a complete program, and that was very, very successful. It showed a very simple flow sheet, flotation, no fancy technology, delivers high copper recoveries into clean copper concentrates, nickel concentrate, very clean. So good, high quality, clean concentrates. And they'll be very coveted by smelters. And that's really de-risked the revenue potential, not just of the copper, but of all the byproducts, because Horden Lake Project is majority copper, but there's a lot of other goodies you get along the way: nickel, gold, silver, platinum, palladium, and they contribute to the revenue stream. And that's why that copper equivalent number is so important here, because you get paid for a lot more than copper on this project, and we've proved that with the metallurgical test work.
Okay, good. But I think, is it fair to say your focus at the moment then is with the Belleterre project? So you've been doing some surveys and using AI as well to identify some prospects. What further investigation?
That's right. The good company does lots of things in parallel to try to maximise the opportunity that we've got, and we do have other projects in the company, in particular the Belttare project. So that's a very large land position. It's earlier stage, but it's not greenfields. There's actually been some of the best discoveries, so for some of the highest grade mineralisation that you'll see actually at an individual sample level and also interval level, very, very high grades of copper, nickel, PGMs, also of high grade gold in a different system. And these have been found on this project, but it's very underexplored relative to that, relative to the individual discoveries have been explored, and then you step outside that area and there's been hardly any exploration. So there's an opportunity here on this project to make new discoveries, and that's what we're focused on, to drive that exploration and discovery engine that certain parts of the market appeals to. So we want to find new things, and then we want to de-risk the things that we've already found, and that's that balance between Belttare and Horden Lake.
Okay, and are you planning a drilling program at Belleterre then, and are you prioritising certain targets?
Absolutely, yeah. So we've been busy over the summer prioritising those targets. It's actually a really large landholding. There's at least 20 priority target areas, and there's a lot more kind of lower priority. So we've been methodically working through those targets and working up high conviction drill targets using high powered geophysics. And so we've got now a suite of drill targets that we're looking to drill towards the end of the year, and then we'll continue to generate new targets through the exploration, the boots on the ground exploration, more geophysics to help keep that conveyor belt of opportunities moving.
Okay, so you've got activities planned for the rest of the year. I will come on to that just in a moment in terms of what shareholders can expect. But another thing I noticed from the chairman's statement was regards to the flow-through funding, which is, of course, something that's very popular for North American companies. Really great. I think more companies should, or more countries, I should say, should offer that. But I mean, how do you, as a company who operates there 100%, how do you sort of plan to balance the exploration spending with minimising dilution by utilising things like flow-through funding?
Well, look, I describe flow-through is it's very well known in Canada, but as an ASX listed company, it's much less well known in Australia. But as an ASX listed company, we can access flow-through. We've done 2 flow-through financings, and I describe it as a gift from the mining gods. You get free money put in your bank account effectively, relative to a conventional situation where you raise every dollar that you have to spend, and so this is a tax credit harvesting system that people use to lower their tax rates, and ultimately it results in getting grossed up in the company's account. So you get your exploration dollar goes a lot further in Quebec. The last financing we did for our exploration expenditure, that component of the financing was done at a 1.95 times premium. So for $1 million that we took from investors down in Australia, because of the flow through structure, we were able to get $1.95 million put in our bank account to go and spend on exploration. So that's super important for these junior companies. We all know dilution is the issue, and your dollar goes a lot further in Quebec and a lot further in Pivotal when you're looking for copper projects in Quebec because of that flow through scheme.
Good. Well, I'm sure you'll be pushing that as hard as you can. It's good to make use of that. So just to finish off, if we can set the scene perhaps for the last quarter, maybe in terms of what some of the upcoming catalysts are in terms of activities or indeed drill results. And I noticed just a couple of, I think I picked up some comments on shareholders. They're quite keen to know what the longer term plans are and just to generally hear what they can expect from the company and perhaps hear more regular communications. So, I mean, if you were to set the scene for, we're nearly in the last quarter, what are the key things that investors can be holding out for, and how will you keep people updated?
Absolutely. Well, we've been busy in the field, so we'll have exploration results that will continue to flow out from our summer field season. We're gearing up for a drill program in the fourth quarter, so get ready for drilling, mobilising, and drill results to flow out following that. In parallel, so that's at our Belttare project, we're going to continue to generate new targets. So we've got some geophysics planned, some soil sampling planned, so you can get results from that generative exploration work. And then also we've got our Horden Lake Project, where we've got drilling that hasn't been incorporated into the resource. We've got new targets that we've identified that we continue to work up, as well as de-risking steps, so things like metallurgical test work and segues into economic studies to show really what the value of the Horden Lake project is. And so that's kind of going to drive the news flow over the next sort of 3 to 6 months, and keeps us quite active and relevant in the market.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Ivan Fairhall, the MD of Pivotal Metals, and hopefully we can catch up again as things start to progress with the company in the next quarter.
I'd like that. Yeah, thanks a lot for having me on.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.